Well, hello and welcome to this session. Appreciate you being here today. We're going to be talking about accelerating secure migrations and innovation in the era of AI. My name's 𝗦𝗲𝗀𝗀 and I'm joined by my colleague Gabriela, and we have some exciting updates to share for our partners today about new investments that we're providing to you to help facilitate a secure migration experience and how you can unlock new value through that process. So on our agenda today, and by the way, very happy that you've joined with us because we have some new investments that we think will really help you redefine the way that you look at migration and modernizations with Azure. And I understand that many of you in here are systems integrators, MSPs, channel partners, maybe some MSSPs. I think everyone's going to find something of value today to help you in this business of tapping into the incredible opportunity we have around migrating and modernizing with Azure. And so today we want to cover some of the changes that are happening in the way Azure is helping you with innovating around migrations and modernizations. And so I'm very happy to cover some of those innovations so you can keep up with where we are and where we see your business model that needs to evolve. And as we talk about that changing landscape for migrations and modernizations, we also want to share how we see the security opportunity developing and evolving with that. And so we'll share some updates and trends there. But the meat of today is really about the new investments on how we anticipate how you can accelerate your business around secure migrations. And so I'm going to dive in, and Gabby, we'll have you up in a few minutes.
Perfect. Thank you so much, guys. We will talk about the meaty stuff in just a few minutes. Thank you, Jonathan.
So as you may have heard at Ignite this week, there's been a lot of talk about agentic AI. And agentic AI is hitting all of the worlds that we are working in individually, how we work individually, but also the companies and the solutions that we are positioning and developing. But what's super interesting for us as partners in this ecosystem is that agentic AI has now hit the way we actually can think about and evolve the migration and modernization of complex IT workloads. And so you may have heard some announcements about Azure Copilot, GitHub Copilot. And what I wanted to just touch on, so we're all on the same page here, is that these innovations are creating a tremendous opportunity for you as partners within these two platforms. The shift that we see and how this is unlocking new potential for you is that what normally in this migration modernization journey might have taken days, weeks, maybe even months at that front end can now just take hours. Through agentic AI and optimization of that process, which enables you to get information faster into your hands and to influence the decision makers that you're working with inside these organizations to help them identify and prioritize the workloads that are most important to their business that could benefit from that cloud migration modernization investment. And then on top of that, using these tools and automation, you can then process that information to create a plan, an execution plan. And we call it the 6 R's that helps you develop that impact assessment, which then helps the customer understand not only I'm migrating to cloud for these maybe generic benefits of performance scale, but actually now you can tie those to specific business benefits. And all this is empowered by the agentic AI supporting Azure Copilot and GitHub Copilot. So we're very excited about how that's enabling you as partners to transform your business around this. And we're already seeing some partners. In fact, if you want to come to a session at 1 o'clock later today, we have a partner who's presenting. We'll be deep diving into these two tools and showing you exactly how these partners, this partner specifically has envisioned a new business model that's helping them do more and get new business. So we'd really love for you to join us there too. So really, it isn't hype. There is a reality here, and this new partner business model is emerging. And so like I mentioned before, the big impact that we're seeing is that you can take these monolithic applications and start breaking them down into more manageable projects. The approach, like I mentioned, uses that agentic AI to break them down, accelerate the delivery, and in the process, that actually reduces the risk. So an application modernization project in the legacy times might have been a little bit too uncomfortable for the business to undertake in terms of the complexity and the time required. But now we can start managing these a little bit differently and showing the customer a more de-risked way of moving them into the cloud. And so that really is that unlock that we're seeing here. And we're also seeing partners who are leading customers through this process are then able to take those critical data and business processes that are essential to unlock AI. They can pull those forward with them in these projects. And that is where there's incredible growth and opportunity for partners as well. And we're seeing partners grow 2 times faster who are able to package this and move these kind of projects with that complete end-to-end transformation value. But we must also address the hidden risks and barriers that come with rapid cloud and AI adoption. And that takes us to the topic today. So some of these risks include the expanding attack surface that results from the addition of new dynamic and cloud-native resources into the IT estate. Security teams were already challenged from too many alerts, overlapping tools, and advanced threats that made it very difficult to maintain visibility and respond effectively. And then the rise of Gen AI has also presented this additional security barrier that is calling into question, how do we look at security? How do we transform our security to protect our organization and data when we start unlocking this new Gen AI and agentic AI tools? So there's a lot of tools, there's a lot of providers that are coming into the market to address these needs, but it's also contributing to the challenge. Because with every new tool and with every new technology, it compounds complexity inside the organization. And so that is an opportunity for us as we're moving these estates forward and we're starting to create some of that new surface area to reposition a security solution that solves both of those challenges. And so that brings us to the cloud security solution that is integrated into the Azure platform. And it should be integrated into every migration and modernization project that you deliver when you're proposing Azure. Microsoft Defender for Cloud is built into Azure, and it provides that seamless protection without extra deployment steps. It reduces that friction that a third-party system might introduce. And that native integration unifies security, compliance, governance across not just your Azure, but multi-cloud, hybrid, and customers can also engage through Azure Arc on-prem estates as well. And so you as partners can help customers improve that security posture for those cloud workloads, and you can also help them provide a more compelling total cost of ownership for their security estate while you're in that buying cycle for migration modernization. So we feel it's an exciting opportunity. And if you think about all of the different surface area that we're talking about and how that is expanding, here's just a kind of snapshot of the things that are going to be changing. You know, as the company migrates and modernizes, they have this whole new potential of risk surface area. But Defender for Cloud consolidates those resources into a unified visibility platform. It not only is built into Azure and is easy to activate, but it also is built into the other Microsoft tools that power CISO and SOC teams. So that's another big benefit that you can help the customer realize is by activating Defender and integrating for a Microsoft security shop. Amazing opportunity there, and we hope especially that that becomes a priority for you in the way you go to market with this solution. So the SecOps and business case benefits are very compelling, like I've mentioned. I'm adding this here so you can also just maybe take a step back and see from customers and partners who we have interviewed. And this is an aggregate view of the benefits that do accrue to their bottom line, both in terms of the total cost of ownership, but also in terms of how they are operating better. Reduction in false positives, reducing mean time to respond, greater productivity are all of the top benefits that our customers and partners see when they implement Defender for Cloud in these migration and modernization projects. So that brings us to the value for you as a partner and why you should prioritize security in your migration and modernization projects. Number one, it's an immediate boost to your revenue by upselling and cross-selling Microsoft Defender for Cloud security products. It really is a no-brainer. I mean, it's integrated into the solution and should be something that your sales teams, even the infrastructure sales teams, should be fluent in understanding how to pitch that in position. And should you need to go deeper, yeah, that may be a more difficult conversation, but when we bring Gabriela on stage, we'll talk about some of the new tools and new resources that we're going to provide you that will help you have some of those more difficult conversations. But that is an amazing opportunity for you just to not leave that revenue opportunity going to another partner or vendor. And then finally, security assessments. So this is a great way to win customer trust and projects. By addressing those security challenges, you can use some of these new investments that we're going to share to offer a rapid AI-driven security assessment. And that's information and impact that every customer wants right now. And then obviously managed services are the holy grail for you, and I know a lot of you in the audience are managed security providers, and so you already get this, but in this day and age, that could be a new avenue for you as well as a partner to develop and grow. If not, partner with one of our MSSPs and use this conference maybe to make a new friend, and you can start building that unified threat protection into your migration modernization practice. And so with that, I'm going to turn things back over to Gabriela to walk us through those new investments.
Thank you, Jonathan. Super excited to be here today, guys. I really think that this is going to be the audience of my best new friends, just because you're the guys that are going to help you drive this very important priority forward. So in FY26, we're really focusing on accelerating your success with Defender for Cloud adoption, very focused on migration and modernization projects, but not only through migration and modernization projects, and we're going to talk about this with more detail. So we are imagining our investments. We really, just with your input, we put together some very good feedback just to think what we needed to do differently this year to make this a success. We launched 3 new resources, which we will go deeper into, and plus one that was already in market. We think that it is a very robust set of investments, very robust set of portfolio of resources that you can leverage to drive this forward. So 3 things that we're going to talk about in this portion of the conversation. First, how to overcome some of the orchestration challenges. Jonathan just walked us through all of the challenges, but also all of the benefits that we could get by having a security cloud-native solution through our migration and modernization projects. But we acknowledge that just based on how the customers are set up, how also some of you as our partners are set up, and even as Microsoft, how we orchestrate the go-to-market, we have some challenges that we need to address. Second, money slides, like what are those new investments? How can you leverage them depending on where the customer is at? And finally, additional resources that can really make you successful building that practice if you don't already have it, but also accelerate that business if you do have it. So let's start. So first of all, how are we going to market? We have 2 priorities that are tied to this secure migration and modernization motion or projects. One of them is tied to our solution area of cloud and AI platform, which is called Migrate and Modernize Your State. This is the traditional migration and modernization motion that I hope most of you are aware of. While the second one is a newer priority, just rekindled love and care from Microsoft towards security embedded into that cloud motion. The name of the priority is called Protect Everything, Protect Cloud, AI Platform, and Applications. We see these 2 priorities as distinct execution lanes, but that really intersect towards all the value that Jonathan already walked us through in Defender for Cloud. So for Migrate and Modernize, some of the key customer outcomes are, of course, innovation, business value, time to market, AI readiness. But all of these values shouldn't be compromised by not having the correct security foundation and architecture. And also, as we have been hearing in this conference, like AI is just pervasive to pretty much every conversation. We are thriving to becoming fronting firms. So with that, with Protect Cloud, we really need to have comprehensive visibility, proactive risk assessment, prevention, just to assess, strengthen, and harden everything around our cloud infrastructure to ensure that we have a proper AI adoption project. So with that in mind, as I was mentioning, we want to acknowledge some challenges. So one of the things that we are seeing, and maybe it's just validated by your experience as well, is that it is challenging in some cases just because of how customers are set up. We have infrastructure teams very focused on infrastructure projects, but then we have also security teams that have very, very different priorities. So most of the times when we're talking about infrastructure, we're thinking about performance, scalability, uptime, cost efficiency, and in some cases, these teams are not seeing security as an enabler, they're seeing security as a blocker. And we need to shift that conversation. While the security teams are all about resiliency, integrity, confidentiality, and again, it's just these diverse priorities that are not allowing us to bring this conversation together. We acknowledge that at Microsoft as well. We will talk also about internal seller orchestration. And that's why, thinking about these gaps, we're putting these investments together for you to be able to address some of these challenges. So again, we just need to shift that mindset to have the customers move from their current tooling and policies, controls, to really a modern security posture, modern security tooling that can help us to have a more cloud-native operations. So successful organizations have been able to broken these silos, but really embedding security from the start, bringing these teams together into every infrastructure and network decision, have infrastructure designed really incorporate these security principles, and bringing together the practices. So this is more of a, we acknowledge the challenge, but potentially even self-reflection for all of us. I don't know how many times you're trying to address an infrastructure project, you're trying just to go very fast, move that first workload to the cloud, drive that consumption, and at the end is, well, we should have thought about this security element a little bit earlier, so it doesn't become a blocker at the end. So we're seeing it, and we're now acknowledging it in infrastructure projects. It's also starting to happen a little bit on the data security side. So again, just some resources for you to be mindful of. This is our orchestration slide. So again, we are having a little bit of the same challenge with our Microsoft field, but this is the attempt to try to bring this conversation together. So some of you may be aware of this. We have this motion called the Microsoft Customer and Partner Engagement Methodology, MSEM for short. So this is kind of the alignment of investments and resources that we're giving partners and visibility to sellers for you to be in lockstep execution with our field. So just as Jonathan mentioned, we have very exciting news and resources for you to be able to leverage this. So just by show of hands, I don't know who is aware of assessment and POV with security insights? Just a few. Launch of cloud security workshop. Okay, a few. And cloud, Defender for Cloud Accelerator. Okay. So just a few hands. This is great because then it's not going to be super repetitive. So I really, really appreciate that. So with that in mind, as mentioned, this is the money slide. I feel this is one of the most important takeaways, not only because it has all the payouts, but literally because it's the reflection of the collective work as Microsoft Plus ecosystem that we have put together to address this acceleration motion. We have 2 investments set for you to accelerate on the pre-sale side, and 2 for you to help us grow on the post-sales stage. The goal of the pre-sales investments is to drive insights on the customer's current security posture and land the recommendations on how to enhance and harden the environment with Defender for Cloud. But at the same time, it opens a ton of opportunity for partners to drive professional services and managed services and really be perceived and in reality a trusted advisor in security, not only in infrastructure, for our joint customers. And the goal of our post-sales resources is to reward you for accelerating Defender for Cloud adoption and growth. So we will go deeper into each one of these, but just as mentioning, Azure Assessment and POV through Azure Accelerate and Cloud Security Envisioning Workshop to drive pre-sales, and Azure Accelerate MDC Incentive and Microsoft Defender for Cloud Accelerator post-sales. So let's just start with the Azure Accelerate plus POV, which is our hero pre-sales investment through Azure Accelerate. So the assessment and POV enables customers to securely migrate existing workloads, applications, and infrastructure to Azure, of course, being very specific about the security portion. But it's really about driving those insights that will help you plan the migration or modernization project accordingly so that, again, all those security controls in the cloud don't become a blocker down the line. So this year, one of the new things that you will have is the option to deliver this assessment either through Azure Migrate or Dr. Migrate. And through Dr. Migrate, you will also be eligible for eligible Azure partners, specialized partners, to deliver the assessment through a free license that will be enabled for 90 days for a specific customer environment. So the outcome of that is just to have very specific security insights, as well as just the planning of the assessment itself for the migration. So you can have those deeper conversations. Depending on the size of the consumption project, you could get up to $50,000, so very relevant investment to drive the pre-sales. Now, we just want to make it real, not a live demo, but just to help you with a little bit of examples of how does this look like. So the goal is to highlight all the reasons and compelling events for a customer to change their current paradigm and how are they doing security so that they can adopt Defender for Cloud. But again, real life example. Customers, what really want is to know, am I secure? Am I going to be secure when I move my workloads? And of course, we're human beings and we're a little bit resistant to change. So if we don't see the real life examples of why should I move, it's very hard for our customers to actually take that decision. So just from the right-hand side column, just on the slide, sorry, we will see some examples like we have OSs that are out of support or need extended support. Also a snapshot of all the security tools that are currently deployed in the customer environments. So we can really have that security sprawl conversation and have deeper conversations around consolidation. This is just kind of the quick wins examples of what happened. Also on the middle pillars, one of my favorites is the servers with no protection, so no care them, and the gaps that can be addressed just by covering those vulnerabilities. And again, as mentioned, just a summary of quick wins. This is the example of the output. Now going into one of the most valuable insights from that assessment is just the security software inventory. So on this particular example, we have just different, like 28, I think I counted them correctly, 28 different tools across threat detection, patch management, SIEM, identity and access management, and other security tools, which again, it just opens the surface for a customer to be very much attacked, to have things falling through the cracks. And this can really be a great example of how can you come in as a trusted advisor to simplify their environment, to reduce operational complexity. No need for additional training. All could be consolidated under the Microsoft platform, but with your expertise both on professional and managed services. And when you're able to present this information with a clear perspective on what needs to be addressed and mitigated right away for the migration, and then along the line for continuous improvement, like money, it's really where it clicks with the customer and you're able to just drive that continuous opportunity of services. Now, there will be occasions where the customer, they have seen the assessment, they know what they have, they know what they can do, but they're potentially not super convinced about what Defender for Cloud can do for them specifically and for their particular environment. So in FY26, to support that ambition of accelerating the Defender for Cloud adoption, we launched the Cloud Security Envisioning Workshop, which is really designed to create customer intent for deploying and expanding Microsoft Defender for Cloud. It is a very prescriptive approach, a type of POC engagement, a proof of concept, but again, it's very prescriptive content that you could leverage just to walk the customer through the value of the whole tool. It is a modular approach, so you will be required to deliver 2 mandatory models, but then the rest of the content, you can really pick and choose based on the customer need and what you want to showcase based on their project and on your specific value and solutions. The goal is to showcase all the power, as mentioned, of MDC as a platform and as a CNAPP tool. And the target is on the customers is mostly for the ones that already have some Azure and some Defender for Cloud, so they're not necessarily brand new for you to claim the customer and get the payout. However, the content is available for all our security designation partners. So if you're already a security designation partner, you can download the content, review it, and even if the customer is not eligible, well, if they're not eligible, you won't get the payout. However, you can still look at the content as a very valuable resource for other engagements. So now let's look at an example of what's the output or the outcome of the CSP mandatory model. So as you can see here, one of the key benefits on the outputs is to have the cloud security score with an overview of the score per workload and what's the status. And also key recommendations with some insights that you can really drive and help you have that deeper conversation with the customer. So we have things like public exposure of cloud resources, risk of lateral movement, unpatched vulnerabilities, and missing threat protection, which we will go a little bit deeper into. How can you have that deeper conversation with the next steps? So for that particular recommendation, again, the name is self-explanatory, but when you're having that approach with the customer, first of all, you need to let them understand how severe this potential gap that they're having in their environment is. Then the details of what does that mean for them, like, okay, improve my threat protection, thumbs up, but really, what does that mean? And then specific recommendations on adoption, not only on the product and the platform, which in this case is Defender for Cloud, but also what would be the specific recommendations on your services to further position your offerings. And last but not least, a clear next step agreement with the customer, at least at a proposal level, of what are the priorities, what are the non-negotiables for them to migrate or modernize their workloads. And at the same time, just based on experience, the customer can take this kind of next steps to socialize internally and to justify just the value of the platform or the value of your services. So again, just examples of how the delivery goes, what are some of the deliverables. If you have not been through these activities, are thinking about reviewing them. The Cloud Security Envisioning Workshop just launched in September, so I think that's why some of you may not be aware, but it's available through Partner Center Security Designation. Just check out the content. One key call out for us is really help us understand your feedback and your input about the resources that we're putting forward for your success. And then just moving towards the post-sale size, again, just mentioning this is rewarding you to accelerate consumption growth. The first one that we're going to talk about is the Azure Accelerate MDC incentive. It will provide 50% additional funding for your migration and modernization projects when you include Defender for Cloud, up to $86,000. Again, I think it's pretty cool. And then the Defender for Cloud Accelerator, this one just launched October 1st, quite new. We're still seeing partner adoption starting to pick up, but not a lot of you are using it still. This one is designed to reward you for increased acceleration consumption above established threshold. This threshold is 80%, so it's pretty aggressive. But at the same time, we feel that for customers that have a very low Defender for Cloud consumption, the opportunity and the white space is really big. So call out again, please, if you haven't heard it, look at the incentives guide. I will have the QR codes for you to check it out just now. Give us feedback. This feedback is just fueling our brains to make this better for you and really to make us collectively successful. Now, we have reviewed this in the opposite order. So we have gone through the offerings, especially the new offerings that we feel are going to really help us all accelerate. But there are other pillars that are really, really important for you to keep on building that practice, keep on building that muscle around security and infrastructure. So we will go just very quickly through what are we having in marketing, in skilling, and differentiation through the MAI CPP program. So Campaign in a Box, I don't know how many of you are familiar with Campaign in a Box? Okay, 3. So Campaign in a Box is our Microsoft ready to launch customizable marketing toolkit. So it's just something that we put together that's based on all of our marketing assets to help you build top of funnel leads and go faster to market. It has Microsoft approved messaging, branding, it provides all the assets, and it helps you run the campaigns through the weeks. Just provides you the content, it says week 1, week 2, build awareness, go to the next stage, and it's completely customizable. It's available to all of our MAI CPP partners, so just check it out. Now, to generate demand for this specific priority for the secure migration and modernization, we have 2 flavors, just based on the execution lanes that we just discussed. One content kit is more based on the migrate and modernize your state. The other one is for protect cloud, AI apps, and AI platform and apps. And it has curated content to help you on that customer journey from build awareness, acquire leads, consideration, and decision. At the decision state, the most important call out here is that you will have a quality lead that's just ready to get to sales throughout just the journey of that marketing campaign. Skilling. So Level Up is all about accelerating your success through flexible, on-demand assets, on-demand skilling assets. It gives you, as our ecosystem, immediate curated paths, role-based courses, certifications aligned to specific solution areas like cloud and AI platform, security, but also particularly for specific priorities. And it's not only about the technical training. It's really about getting your practitioners hands-on, very close to real-life experience for them to be able to deliver projects immediately, not only kind of the theoretical side of the house. And it's not only about the technical, it's also about that sales experience that they could leverage to really go to market. And last but not least, MAI CPP. This is the only partner program. If they tell you that there is an additional partner program, that's not true. MAI CPP is our only partner program. And it's providing you with cloud, AI technology, access to resources, tooling, all there. The path towards this specific priority starts with our infrastructure designation and security designation for you to then, if you're not already there, to move to our specialization path, which will open a lot of these doors, especially around the go-to-market, how you get prioritized for specific leads and propensity, and the access to investment. So with that, I'm just going to say, we have these new investments we just walk with. I'm going to close with this because it's the most relevant part of the information. Give us feedback. They're new in market. We haven't seen all of them pick up. But I saw that many of you weren't aware of their existence. So this is a great signal for us. We just need to keep messaging. If you have any particular comments, just let us know. And just resources slide. We will have a cloud security benchmark document, partner skilling, security designation, cloud specialization. And I'm going to the next one. Sorry. I know it's a ton of resources, but I wanted to make sure that you have just a very quick link on some of these things in case the content and information is slow to flow towards you. So thank you so much. We're finishing early because we know it's lunchtime. And just to leave a little bit of time for Q&A. If anyone has specific comments, you can just stand up or approach us directly. We really appreciate it. Thanks so much.